chapter 937. Hands down, we gotta take a moment, right? Like, I was, for a second, I was like, you know, Sanji with that black stealth suit was probably hands down the best design in the series. I was completely capping for Sanji for a second. I completely need to put some respect back on Zoro's name and damn sure Luffy's name, because when it comes to people that are built different, okay? When it comes to people that are built different, Zoro and Sanji and Luffy, they're all three built different, but Luffy and Zoro, they're built different on a different level. So Luffy's like knocking dudes out left and right, and he's literally trying to recreate the training that Rayleigh did with him during the time skip. What the fuck, dude? And like, I know, I like how Oda's having it in here where it's like Luffy's letting you know that he is training to increase his hockey level in terms of the skill. Because, you know, Luffy's like, well, you know, when Rayleigh used it, he barely tapped the dude. He didn't even have to touch him and he knocked him out. And it's just like, holy shit, man. Luffy's trying to advance his level of skill with hockey in the middle of a fucking death match. And yet it makes the most sense because no amount of training is going to recreate that thrill of a life or death battle where the blood is just flowing through your veins, where the smallest mistake is the difference between life and death, where every moment could be your last, where you're fighting alongside of a comrade, or in this case, you're fighting alongside a comrade to protect them. The stakes can't get any higher. And so I like how Luffy is completely calm in this moment. And so this lets you know that like Luffy is continuing his training. But then while all this is going on, Zoro's having the fight, and we find out that Ryuma's sword was supposed to actually be black, okay? And so you get this moment where Zoro's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Got nothing to say about this. But then Zoro, as he's fighting the big dude that he's fighting against, Zoro is clearly toying around, but then once you get to this moment where Kamorasaki shows up, she's bleeding, so it's like, okay, she wasn't dead. But that goes back to what I said before. Why the fuck did they say, you get to see the body, she's actually dead? This bitch is hiding. I knew he didn't kill that bitch. Again, nobody pronounced this bitch dead. You guys told me, like, hey, until you see the body, the person's not actually dead. So I'm gonna get to her in a second because I have some questions now. But what I like in this moment is that, you know, Zoro, as he's fighting, he's looking at the dude he's fighting. He's like, read the fucking room. I can finish you off at any given moment, but I just made a contract with this girl to protect her and the rugrat that she's got. Let me deal with this dude first, and then I'll get back to you. And what I like in this moment right here is that you get this really badass sequence of events where after Zoro finishes off trying to fight against the monk, all of a sudden when Cosmo shows up, very badass design, and Zoro alternates between having to fight off the monk to talking shit against Cosmo, and you get this really good scene to where Zoro's parrying the attacks and he's fighting off, and the whole time he's doing it, he's saying like, look, if you'll give me food and you'll give me something to drink, I'll do whatever I need to do to keep you safe. Don't even worry about it. And the whole time, Zoro is, as he's holding the conversation, he's being kind of worked backwards because you get this moment where the monk is continuing to try and fight Zoro. So Zoro's fighting a battle on two fronts. But like the level of attention to detail that Oda put into the actual fight sequence is so fucking brilliant. The way that you actually see how Cosmo is taking those weapons that he has. I believe those are halberds. He's taking them, he's swinging them, or I guess that's a scythe. He's swinging it, and Zoro blocks it with one arm, but then when the other one comes through, Zoro immediately is like, I got no problems with this, pulls out the other sword, counters, and actually ends up, I believe, cutting off some of the dude's hair. So that was pretty awesome. That's kind of like a callback to what you see with Kiku, where Kiku cut off the top knot of that sumo wrestler, and as they start kind of flying backwards, Zoro's like, okay, this dude's pretty damn strong. I might need to be on guard. And that's when you get this moment where Cosmo's like, can you actually try this time? So they've hit the point of where they're no longer wearing the kid gloves. They sparred, they felt each other out, and now you're about to get into the real action. And as these two begin locking swords and you just see all the snow flying up all over the place, you hear the after effects, You see the rattle sound effects in the panels below. Even the monk is studying the battle. And I'm like, okay, he realizes that Zoro's just fucking around with him. No, the whole time, he was just waiting for opportunity. Like he said earlier, that moment you lower your guard is the best opportunity I have for striking you down. In battle, there are no rules of honor. And yet at the same time, this is exactly what happens. Zoro, his guard is lowered because he's focused on the next person. And that monk doesn't do damage to Zoro, because again, he's shouting. That's like the shonen cliche. You shout before you attack or whatever. But Zoro ends up getting that scythe right through his shoulders. And you get this really beautiful panel where Zoro's just in complete agony. The blood's just spurting all out the wound. Very good artwork. Very good artwork. I like how the panels on the page adjacent to that are kind of slanted upwards, just showing how like the weight of the battle between Zoro and Cosmo is so damn crazy to where if it's on a scale, it's tilted upwards. And I like how like if you just read it from right to left the way it's just supposed to, the actual damage in the fight and the way that the top part of the explosion on that right side as they start clashing swords is bigger than on the left side. You see how it's a smaller explosion is coming on there, and then you see how Kamorasaki, like the clank, 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 all those sound effects on her panel, but it's continuing to kind of slope downwards. And you're again seeing more of the after effects of the battle, and then to see it where on the next page Zoro's in all that agony, and how in this moment Zoro, as the blood is dripping, as his opponent has his guard lowered, that's when Zoro is readying his next attack. And even Cosmo says, I can't pull my weapon loose. And that's when Zoro goes straight to the three sword style. And it looks like Zoro ends up taking this dude out with one fucking hit. So what that tells you right there, even though Zoro is critically injured, Zoro is running through some of Orochi's men. So that's interesting. That's interesting right there. Now, I want to go back to Kamorasaki, because when you get to Kamorasaki, there's a moment in there where she talking mad grizzly right now, right? Like, the way that she's talking so fucking greasy is she's like, Cosmo, they call you an indiscriminate killer in the capital, but you're actually an assassin of Orochi's posing as a criminal, aren't you? And this is the thing, okay? So right there, the dude calls out and says, why would you call the Shogun by his name without his title? And who are you? And see, it's the thing. I feel like Oda's like saying like, hey, she's supposed to be some random thought that is taking everybody's money. Sure, I got that. But I'm telling, like I told you, like once she stood up and said, I'm the daughter of a powerful samurai, or the child of a powerful samurai, however she worded it. The fact is that like once she did that, I said, motherfucker, this give me Momonosuke vibes. Because, Momonosuke, like, samurai must not do this and blah, 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 blah. Like all these different self-imposed rules, like I will not feel hunger, all that bullshit. And the things you've seen like with Kinemon and Raizo and Kanjuro is that they got huge pride. And I'm wondering, is it possible? Because again, Momonosuke's sister would be older. And I'm wondering if Kamurasaki's actually a sister. I wonder if that's actually the case, because Oda bolded the you. And it's like, who are you? But to not refer to a shogun, they're right in this instance. To not refer to a shogun by the proper title is super disrespectful. And so for her to do something like that, and she's supposed to just be somebody that's just sucking dick for a living, that makes you wonder. If that ain't Momonosuke's sister, then that's somebody that was like, I don't know if Oda had like a side child, or if she's some type of princess or some shit. But when you start looking at this shit, when Luffy and them go to the different islands, there's typically a princess that they end up interacting with. This is giving me vibes with Vivi, to where I didn't catch it with Vivi when she was Miss All Sunday. I think that's what no, it was Nico Robin. Vivi was Miss Wednesday. I didn't catch that Vivi was a princess back then. But you start seeing those recurring themes. And, one of the things you've seen in the New World is about protecting a child's innocence. And even though Rebecca wasn't actually a child, because of everything that happened to her as a child, she still had that childlike innocence. And so I'm wondering if we're going to see the opposite effect of where What happens when you lose everybody, everything, and you end up having to embrace the darkness in order to survive? I'm really wondering if that's going to be a route that Oda goes here. Because again, Wano, it makes sense that there's a princess. You know, Momonosuke would be like the first prince that we've had. I get Sanji was technically, you know, a prince with Germa 66, but I don't really count Sanji with that because he's part of the main crew. So my chapter question to you guys, though, is how do you guys feel about Luffy and Zoro fucking training, even though they're in life or death battles? How do you guys feel about that? And what were your thoughts on the fact that Oda's clearly setting them up to get even more powerful? And if you had to rank the Straw Hats in terms of power, how would you rank them from strongest to least? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.